I'm used to seeing weed and getting set. I'd cut him if I wasn't just a drunk in the muni. No, I'm not proud of my quarterback. In a football town, no trophy envy. But every throw is like, oh shit, hell no, what were you thinking? Get rid of the ball before you take a beating. We don't care. Just give it to someone on our team. And even Sean is like, Jason Campbell, I guess you can start this week. Hoyer's out, no pressure, but seriously, we don't care. The Browns always have next year, and we'll always be loyal. Brown and orange run in our blood. A winning season just ain't for us. At least the defense doesn't suck. I got beers in my cooler. Yeah, that's all I need. And maybe I'll drool. Passed out by quarter 3.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 35 of the Pseudo Nerd Podcast for September 2nd, 2016. I'm your podcast host, Josh Kiser, and joining me on the gridiron today, Mr. Josh Haddix.
How's everybody doing?
And Mr. Kyle Oglin.
Oh, nothing witty today? I was waiting for some...
I've got plenty of wit coming, you know. I thought I'd give you a break because I saw what your fantasy football draft was this week and thought...
Thanks. Hear that dirty lunch. Hey, you know what? Yahoo be damned. I'm not breaking my streak of getting into the playoffs.
You might not be breaking your streak, but I believe RG3 could end your streak for you.
Oh, let's put it this way. If I don't get in, I don't think it'll be because of RG3. I think it'll be my other questionable choices.
So coming up in today's podcast, we are going to talk football, preview the NFL season as a whole. But first, since we got a couple minutes here, why don't we just talk? We did our fantasy football draft this weekend, and how do you guys feel about your teams?
I as I've stated on the podcast, I believe I went against my better judgment and drafted with the number 1 overall pick, Cam Newton.
You know, it's funny is when you made that draft pick, I thought about if I had some time, I was going to go through and try to find that cut where you basically talked about how you were not a fan of Cam Newton and you go on the record saying you hate him, and then bring up the fact that you drafted him, but I did not get around to that. So.
I am on the record saying, and I got to be honest with you, I'm still not a huge fan. However, when it comes to winning fantasy football games, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? Now, if he screws me this year,
you had him before, and that's the reason. One of the reasons why you don't like him is because he didn't help you when you have him.
And I swore I would never ever draft him again. And not only did I not stick to my guns, I took him with. I literally could have drafted anybody I wanted.
You had every player in the entire pool of the NFL.
Connor Barth, you could have gotten, you know.
So if I win this year. Or let's even say this: if I'm contending, if I make it in the playoffs and I'm a contender.
When was the last time you were in the playoffs, Haddix? Let's just be real here. If you could make it into the playoffs, that's a big win for you.
That's my point. That's why I'm saying.
I think the last time he was in the playoffs was the last time you were not in the playoffs,
not in the playoffs.
And that was the first year of our league.
Inaugural year, right? Our inaugural year. You're
so
on a
mark
streak,
my words.
and so am I.
If I make it to the playoffs, especially if I beat Hougie or some shit to make it to the playoffs, I'm gonna have to retract everything bad I've said about Cam Newton. But we'll see.
Are you gonna get a Cam Newton jersey to celebrate?
If I win, I'm gonna go on record here. Okay, if I win our fantasy football league this year, I will buy a Cam Newton jersey.
Kiser, the other thing you have to do, since you are currently a big goose egg in any type of playoff consolation bracket for the past, what's been now 4 or 5 years.
5 years, I am 0-10 in all playoff games. But I have the best regular season out of anybody in our league, so there's that.
Yeah, you're the Bengals pretty much. The Bungholes. The moment you win any of your games, All right. If you win any consolation or playoff game, let's say it even happens this year, God forbid, you want to break tradition. But if you did this year, you also have to get a jersey of whoever scored your highest. I think that's only fair.
I mean, I'd be down for that. And I fully expect to own a Charles Sims jersey by the end of the season. So.
Dude, I hope for some god-awful reason, if you do win a game, it's like the most random person on your team. Like, not that it's the most random, but like, let's say you're still starting Breeze and Cousins, and fucking Cousins just goes off, and you got to get a Kirk Cousins jersey. That'd be great.
There are far worse jerseys to own than Kirk Cousins, so I don't know
on your team. I mean, a Devontae Parker jersey, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, as far as your team as it is right now, if they all went off, who would be the worst jersey to have?
What would be the one that you would reluctantly
Justin
have to
Tucker,
buy?
Because it's a Ravens jersey.
Oh, that's true. I hope you don't win a playoff game with your kicker scoring the most points. Okay.
If it were to happen, though, Justin Tucker would be one of the kickers to do it because that dude can put up 20 to 25 point games. So if we're doing a jersey thing, what's Hoagie's? If Hougie misses the playoffs, he's got to get a jersey. If Hougie misses the playoffs, he has to buy the worst player on his team, whoever the Eddie Lacy of 2016 is for him.
All right, Hougie.
I mean, I'm down. I forgot.
If you're on this, we're all doing streaks here. So your streak is making the playoffs. So if you don't get your streak, you got to get the jersey of the worst player. Kaiser's streak is not winning.
Does that count Victor Cruz, who may not see a football field this year?
Let's say he was in the 15th round.
Let's say worst
That's
player.
What I'm asking.
Worst player of the team that you actually start.
So here's the funny thing. What if the worst player on my team, or the one that gives me the least amount of points all year just based on performance, ends up being the Denver defense? Do I have to buy a jersey for every single player on that team?
You get to choose you get to choose what Denver jersey you want.
Any of those, any
defensive players. Okay.
If you win a playoff game, Kiser,
I will buy that Charles Sims jersey.
Most points scored. If I win the league, or is mine if I win the league, or is mine if I?
If you win
playoffs,
you make the playoffs.
So if I make the playoffs, I go buy. God damn, mine. That one's. Well, I guess Kiser, yours is pretty probable as well.
Well,
all right.
We'll see.
We all might be buying jerseys this year.
Yeah,
it's very possible.
Very possible.
But that's enough fantasy football talk. Let's just move right into the NFL preview. Before we're gonna break down every division, kind of a little bit. What are the stories and stuff, and our predictions, and Super Bowl, all that. But before we do that, let's talk about a couple of the big stories coming into the season. Probably the biggest happened in the off season. It was sort of an ongoing thing from the previous year. And that's Tom Brady was suspended. The suspension has been upheld. It's for 4 games. The biggest thing for this is people still think it's about, the deflated footballs. It's the fact that Roger Goodell was able to basically flex his muscle and say because Tom Brady didn't turn over his cell phone, he was suspended.
I'm going to go on record and say Tom was never convicted.
Right, and that's the biggest part to me is the fact that the NFL, that they held up a ruling basically that the NFL can do what they want with their players. Yes. And that's the part that doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, once you win something like that, then you have to, I guess, set an example. That's all they did with Tom Brady was they set an example of probably arguably, and I'm sure, you guys are both, Tom Brady dick riders, but I'll admit he's probably at this point can be very arguably be the greatest quarterback of all time. And so you put someone like that and put him in a 4-game suspension. That's just, that's Goodell flexing muscle because he can.
Yes.
But it sets precedent that a bad precedent now for future situations. And it gives the NFL too much power, I think. And especially Goodell at the end of the day.
Well, he's letting people know that I don't care who you are. If you're not going to cooperate during an investigation or you're doing anything that could obstruct an investigation.
But it's something he didn't have to turn it. That's the argument is it's not, he's obstructing he's turning over his personal cell phone that he did not have to turn over, and he's being suspended for that.
Yes.
I mean, I definitely agree he shouldn't have. I mean, like, I definitely agree because I have to tell people that all the time over here that, because over here, I mean, that they love the fact that Tom Brady is not playing for 4 games.
I think everyone loves
I mean, a lot of people do, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of players, most players in the NFL are against this, regardless if they're playing for the New York Jets, a hated rival of the Patriots, because it's bad for them because they know if there's another situation that the NFL can force themselves to basically go above the law and do what they want, and that's what doesn't sit well.
That's bad for football because you've got a high profile guy who's not going to play for 4 games. So I mean, the fans don't win, that's for sure. And really, that should be the top priority, is making sure that you're putting
fans don't win,
on the best show you
don't
can.
win. Yeah, I mean, technically, any team that beats the Patriots, you'll take a win, but you really don't. It's like a little. It's not really legit. They don't have Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everyone loses except for Roger Goodell. That's really it.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's enough about that. We got a couple little stories, and really what the big thing is going to be talking the division. So the next one we're going to bring up, just because it's in the story right now, about Kaepernick not standing during the national anthem, and says he's going to continue to do that. Honestly, I don't want to get into the politics behind this. I just want to say that this story is way too big for a guy that might not be sitting on a bench anywhere when the season starts, because he's losing a starting position to Blaine Gabbert. And that should just be enough to say that he doesn't need to get all the recognition that he's getting right now.
Yeah, you could poke so many holes in everything, and I'm sure everyone's read all about it. So yeah, there's no need to go well into it, except for, I think it's the dumbest thing ever. Why would you do it at a preseason game? It's all so stupid. So stupid.
Well, he's doing it in a preseason game because it's exactly what Kiser said. This might be his only opportunity to be on TV for any reason if he gets cut or ends up just being the backup to Blaine Gabbert.
He's at very least the backup at this point. I mean, that's an all but foregone conclusion. It's a matter of, is San Francisco so desperate at the quarterback position that he's going to be still on the team? And that may be the case. He may stay on there for that reason. And
the only thing I'll say about it, and it'll be short, is that I'm not against what he's doing. I'm not the guy that's going to say, like, should we be offended by it? That's not even the point of it. I think the whole point is that, honestly, people are talking about it, and that's what the whole point is why he's doing it, is that he's trying to get more awareness. Maybe he's not doing it in the best way possible. But I mean, a lot of the the big, I guess, iconic moments like Ali or Jesse Owens and stuff like that, when it happened at the time, people thought that they were being disruptive and disrespectful. But then you give it some time, and it ends up being a very, memorable moment in civil rights history. Not saying that this is what's going to happen with this, but for all we know, 10, 20 years from now, this could have actually meant something.
And that's possible. All I'm going to retort to that is Jesse Owens and Ali are the greatest, or one of the greatest at their respective, positions or fields, where Colin Kaepernick is a backup to Blaine Gabbert. And we'll move on at that point. The other big story for me is the rule changes in the NFL. Every year, the rules committee in the offseason, they get together, they vote on things, they put in new ideas. The point after attempt got moved back last year. That was kind of a big deal and had some little effect. I mean, there definitely was more missed field goals or point afters last year, and there's going to be more this year. And again, they're going to put the premium on kickers by the touchback rule. And this one, I hope this rule does not stay. They're kind of a trial period for the year to see how it works. And the touchback has been moved to the 25-yard line as opposed to the 20. Again, the NFL is doing everything they can to eliminate kickoffs. This one's sort of backfiring now because kickers are aiming to kind of pop the ball up inside that 5, forcing them out to be tackled short of the 25. So I don't know. I think it's a dumb rule, and I don't agree that I don't know why they made this. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but I think it's stupid.
They're making it where it's you're going to have a guy who's going to be able to kick field goals, and then screw it, just have the punter punt the ball as the kickoff, and then also have the ability to pin or kick a ball out of bounds, and then just leave it at that. If you're really going to put some sort of value to a kickoff, or at least remove the rule where it's a penalty to kick the ball out of bounds at this point, because really, how often are we going to see? We saw hardly anybody ever return the ball as is last year, and now they're increasing it even more to make more incentive not to return it. So if that's the case, then you need to change the way that the kickers are allowed to get away with things and being able to pin players short of the 25. And if the rules are all staying the same, then what's the point? I would just say get my punter out there and be able to kick a high ball. Well,
I think at this point, first off, punting and kicking the motions are completely different. So I don't know if a punter can just go out there and pop it up.
Oh no, you'd have to move it up. You'd have to move up the line a bit.
Well, it's not even just the line, but it's just the motion itself is two different styles. But for me, is the NFL, they're trying to avoid injuries and collisions and things like that on the kickoff. So if that's what they want, ultimately, if that's their goal, then you know what? Just stop playing around with different changes, moving up where where the kickers kick it off from, moving it to a 25 instead of 20. Like, just say, screw it, there's no kickoffs, you get the ball on the 20-yard line, and that's that.
Yep.
And
I think that's what it's going to come to if this rule goes.
Yeah, you're going to have two options as a kickoff team. You can say, hey, we're going to onside kick it, or you're just going to hand the ball off to the other team and they can take it on the 20. And I think it's stupid. I think they just need to let it be what it is. Special teams is a big part of the NFL. It's a big part of the game. And I think
games have been won and lost by it.
Yeah,
that's right. I mean, people have made careers off of that. So I don't know. I don't think this rule sticks. It's going to be annoying to watch this year, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The other one that kind of intrigues me a little bit is the ejections. Now, they're after two personal fouls, the player, I think I don't know if they are immediately ejected after their second personal foul, or if it's like at the discretion of the referees. This is another one that's up for the trial period for the year. We'll see. I think the biggest issue for me is it's got to be like a bad personal foul as opposed to some of these kind of weaker, like, oh, that was an accidental personal foul kind of thing. Because I don't want to see the point where the guy gets too, he accidentally came down when he was tackling the quarterback and hit his head, and then like another time he accidentally, it's a bad tackle or something like that, and they call a personal foul, and like the guy gets ejected over bad, things. That said, I guess if you're how accidental is it if you're doing it multiple times? So I don't know. We'll see. I don't expect this one to have a huge impact. I don't think it's going to change the way defensive players play or anything like that.
No, I agree. And I hope it is discretionary, because you're right. I think it could happen on accident twice in a game, but I feel like the refs can do a good job at deciding whether or not, it was a malicious hit twice. I hope if it's discretionary, I don't think this has a huge impact. If it's just two and you're out, that could get a little interesting.
And I think a big reason it happened was because of the Super Bowl. Wasn't it like Talib or something like that had multiple personal fouls, and people were making comments about it that he should have got ejected?
I can't even remember.
I think overall, I think college does I think they're trying to push more towards college, where I think if you do something a little too egregious, I know like college, they'll boot you out doing one thing wrong. So like if you take a shot at the head, or if you take off your
helmet, I mean, college is a little bit different though, because they're not professionals. Most of them aren't. So there's a lot, the professionals should be able to, handle themselves better. Where the college players, they might be ejected because, safety reasons, like this guy is, he's just an unsafe player. We can't have it out there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm in agreement where I think the problem is going to be it's going to be up to the discretion of the refs as far as deciding whether or not something is either just a face mask or maybe a chop block I think chop blocking actually is a personal foul, but there are some penalties that are just roughing the passer, but it's not a personal foul, and then there's some where they're going to decide that okay, that actually is going to be upgraded to a personal foul. Then you're going to force a guy who's got one personal foul to then maybe he now has to tone it down a bit, which is already going to be in some players' heads. That's the only thing where I feel like I do disagree a little bit, Kiser, where it might change the way people play if they've already got one personal foul on their, on them during the game, especially very early. It's almost like being in foul trouble in basketball.
Right. And I got the rules right here. The rules change states that players will be ejected for 2 violations of the following penalties in a game: throwing a punch, forearm, kicking an opponent, even though no contact is made, using abusive, threatening, or insulting language or gestures to opponents, teammates, officials, or representatives of the league, use baiting or taunting acts or words that engender ill will between teams. So basically, those are the what is going to be the things they're looking for. And that's legit. It's more. It seems like it's going to be more on the if you're fighting or causing issues as opposed to an accidental face mask or something like that.
Which
if you're tackling or like and they get you for targeting the head or something like that, that's strike one, or do they take you out right then and there if you think you're doing a malicious hit to the head?
I think it's strike one, but I think there's still. I mean, if you went in there and punched a guy in the face, like they might just be like, "All right, you're out of here." There's still some of that.
I think there's some discretionary where somebody is like kicking somebody in the in the face or something, or someone kicking somebody in the anywhere while they're on the ground, and you could tell it's malicious. I don't think. I mean, personally, you don't need that. That should be a 1 and out.
Right. But those are some of the rules. We got a lot to talk about, so we're just going to move on here. We're going to start breaking down each division. Some of these teams we're probably not going to talk much about. Others we might a little bit more because something major's happened. The first being, we'll talk about the NFC East and the team that's going to have the biggest conversation, the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously a lot of hype coming into their season this year. Part of the reason being because they're one of the, biggest fan base teams in the NFL. And then, they drafted Ezekiel Elliott with the 3rd overall pick, I think. 5th overall pick, I believe. Everything was looking good. Tony Romo gets tackled in a preseason game. It's bad. Broken vertebrae in his back or something like that. Now they're reporting 8 to 10 weeks of him being out. So this is the Dak Prescott show. The backup who has kind of looked pretty good in preseason so far. Do you guys think that they've got a shot at this division?
I think they got a small shot. They were my favorite to win the NFC East if Romo doesn't get hurt. But I think
they usually are if everyone's healthy.
Yeah, I think they still have a small shot just because it's the Giants, Redskins, and Eagles, and none of those teams are great.
I mean, this division last year was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys at one point were like 3-6 or 3-5 or something like that with Romo possibly coming back from another injury, and there was like talks that he might be pushed back early because they still have a shot of winning the division, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
So, that's an option for him. They might, if Prescott can do at least mediocre job, they do have a shot of winning this division.
This is the one division that every year, if I feel like it just swings so wildly. You'll have one year where you would just assume that like the Giants normally would be your consistent, team that can get 9 to 11 wins. And normally if they're playing the way I think people expect them to, that they should be able to take the division rather consistently. And then you've got like the Redskins who won the division last year in no impressive fashion. And especially during where they probably consider it being a rebuilding year last year, and they were able to pull it out because of the Giants being shitty, the Cowboys getting injuries, and the Eagles who just suck. I mean, they shouldn't suck, but they sucked. So you're talking about a team that probably everyone thought at the beginning of the year, especially with the Eagles, how much they expected the Eagles to do well last year, the Redskins were a surprise team because I think a lot of people thought that they were going to be the cellar dwellers last year.
Yep, yeah, exactly. And, speaking of the Redskins, Kirk Cousins is back, kind of leading this team. He did well for him last year. Jay Gruden seems to have that offense doing well. Are they the favorites now to repeat and win this division with the Cowboys kind of a question mark?
I don't think they're the favorite. I think the Giants are expected to with how much they spent money. But
though Tom Coughlin is gone as their head coach, it's McAdoo's first year as a head coach.
I guess. I guess the whole thing is that they made a lot of moves this year as far as spending a lot of money, but history has also said that people that doesn't always reflect wins.
It's usually the opposite in the NFL.
I still don't have faith that I feel like the Redskins on paper are not that good. They really aren't that great. And I feel
are they good enough to win this division?
I think they're good enough. I think the Giants are good enough to have a better record than the Redskins. But if the Giants continue to underperform their expectations, then yes, I think the Redskins are the only other team, unless Dak does surprises everybody. But it's probably Redskins or Giants. I'll edge it to the Giants.
So you're giving the division to the Giants. I'm gonna say a repeat for the Redskins. Haddix, any thoughts?
I do think it will be close, and I actually think the wild card comes out of this division. One of the wild cards, but I am picking
you're
the
saying
Reds.
two teams are gonna get it from this division.
Yep, but I am picking the Redskins to win this division.
Interesting.
Up.
Okay,
that's bold.
Do you have your wild card pick from this?
I think
division?
The Giants are the wild card.
Okay.
I think the Redskins win the division. I think the Giants are the wild card.
If any team is going to be the wild card, it's going to be the damn Giants at a 9-7.
Exactly.
They'll be the ones that get to the Super Bowl also. They always seem to slither their way in.
Yeah, they sure do. Sorry, I'm writing down our results while we're talking here, just to keep track of who we're thinking. So let's move on. Are there any other topics you guys want to talk about? The Eagles we kind of ignored, but Doug Peterson is their new head coach this year. They pretty much got rid of everything that Chip Kelly had there. Rookie, yeah. They got Carson Wentz because the Browns traded him that second pick for a haul of picks, including some, their first pick next year. I think the Browns have a top 10 draft pick with that Eagles pick next year. So I'm not expecting anything from Philadelphia this year.
Either. I think the rest of this division will be whatever.
Okay. Moving on, we'll go to the AFC East. Patriots, Jets, Bills, Dolphins. Obviously the big story here, Tom Brady missing the first 4 games for the Patriots. The Jets kind of knocked on the door. They re-signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, so that offense can still do its thing. Dolphins signed Adam Gase as their head coach. He was kind of the hot commodity offensive coordinator. Maybe he'll be able to do something with Ryan Tannehill. And then, of course, Rex Ryan signed his brother Rob Ryan to help that defense get worse. Give me the Patriots in this division. I don't know if there's much more to talk about. For me, the Patriots dominate this division, and as long as Tom Brady is their quarterback for any significant amount of time, that is going to continue to be the trend.
100% agree. And I found this stat. I don't know if you guys saw this. In the last 15 seasons, the Patriots have only failed to win the division once when Tom Brady has played at least 2 games. Started at least 2 games.
Yeah, and the one year that Tom was down the whole year, they went 11-5 and missed the playoffs. So,
I mean,
was that the Matt Castle era?
That was the Matt Castle era. So
I mean, Patriots all the way. I don't think the 4 games even matter.
They don't matter. I think realistically, even if they only come up with 1 win out of the 4, I mean, Tom Brady is going to give you a guaranteed at least 10 wins with himself. So if they go 11-5, that's enough to win the division.
Yeah, and I think they've only got 1 or 2 division games in those 4 that Tom's out, and I could easily see them at least splitting those games.
Yeah. Yep.
As far as wild card, I'm going to probably hold off on my wild card picks till I kind of get through everything. But there's a chance I may take the Jets. We'll see as we go through with the rest of these. We'll go to the NFC West. This one, Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams, Niners. Big story here. The Rams moved to Los Angeles from St. Louis. Otherwise, it's the same team led by Jeff Fisher, who's in talks for a contract extension, which still boggles my mind because he is at best 500 type coach. He has, a great defense that every year it's like, next year could be the year if they just had this player or this position. And somehow they just keep rolling like that. At some point, you got to point the finger somewhere else, but we'll see there. Cardinals and Seahawks, they're just, two playoff teams returning to form from last year. I mean, not much has changed. I think the hardest thing here for me is to pick the division winner. I think the Seahawks are going to reclaim the West crown, but I do think the Cardinals are a wild card team. And I think the 49ers win like 3 games this year.
Yeah.
Hougie, I know that's probably your new favorite team or one of them.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
So I don't know if you have anything.
Santa Clara is like the everyone's told me that stadium looks like a warehouse. Like it looks like you're going into Costco. And it's such a weird thing that how much money they've spent on a brand new stadium, and it looks really bland. Looks like a very bland stadium. But as far as my thoughts on this division, it's Cardinals and Seahawks. They're both going to make the playoffs. I'll edge it to who I think is the better coach and the better quarterback, so I'll go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, not much to say. Niners are going to suck. Rams are going to be average. I think the Cardinals won the division, and I agree that the other wild card comes out of this division, and that will be the Seahawks.
The Rams are always good at being a spoiler. Like they never seem to do well, but
they make your car go faster.
They'll do well in their division. Actually, they'll probably split. They're always like the one that splits everywhere.
Yeah, they beat Seattle in Seattle. Like they do that kind of weird stuff. And they always wake
up for those games.
But then they'll go ahead and drop a game to San Francisco, like at home.
Exactly.
So you never know with them. I do think, okay, they got they have Jared Goff now. So that makes it interesting, but I still don't think it's going to make a difference. I don't
even think he's starting, is he?
I have no idea.
Starter.
I haven't been following that closely because I'm not that concerned about him.
Isn't it Keenum? I think it's Keenum.
Is Keenum going to be the starter?
I think he is. I think he is going to be the starter. I think Goff is going to play behind Keenum and learn from all that infinite wisdom.
I guess Keenum made a good case to be the starting quarterback. Right?
To the AFC West.
You made me laugh.
Hougie, who was you said your pick was Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll take the division, but I definitely agree with you. I think both Seahawks and Cardinals make it to the playoffs.
Okay, so you and I are in exact thought. Haddix has it flipped.
Yeah, mine is flipped. Yeah, Cardinals win the division, but they are both playoff teams.
All right. Well, let's move on then to the AFC West. This has Hoagie's other new favorite team, the Oakland Raiders, as well as the defending Super Bowl.
That's actually kind of true.
The defending Super Bowl champion. But first of all, it's only true because the Niners suck right now, and the Raiders are the better of the two teams.
Oh, the Raiders are infinitely a better franchise right now.
Who would have thought that? Yeah. We got the defending Super Bowl champion Broncos. We got the Kansas City Chiefs, who were a playoff team last year, and we got the San Diego, for another year anyways, Chargers. For me, well, I'll let you guys break this down first before I get into it. What are your guys' thoughts on this division?
I think the Broncos dropped down to a slightly above average team, carried by their defense more than anything. Chargers, God, I love the Chargers. I love Phillip Rivers and I love the Chargers, but they just, I don't know, they just can't seem to get it done, whether it's mostly injury related, I feel like, but they're just kind of that, and they're kind of getting a little old. Chiefs, their offense just can't cut it. I don't know if it's Alex Smith. I don't know what it is. I think it'll be a very tough division, but I am going to give it to the Raiders. For sure. Never thought I'd say that, but for sure.
I want to say the Raiders as well. I think the Broncos are still good enough with their defense that they can get away with having a game manager, even though it's a dirty word to say about a quarterback. I think they can get it done. Where by that I mean I think they can edge out the Raiders. So I will say that I think the Broncos will take it. I think the Raiders do find a way to get into the playoffs as well, though. I have the Raiders or the Broncos as one of my AFC wild cards.
So you're picking who to win the division though?
I'm gonna go with the Broncos just because I think overall they know what it takes and what needs to be done to win football games.
And that's even with Trevor Siemian as their starting quarterback?
I don't think that, once again, they went last year with Brock Osweiler and a deteriorating, old man Peyton, and they were still able to win plenty of games to win the Super Bowl. So I don't think they drop so hard that they don't make the playoffs. I think they still edge out barely in a close contention with the Raiders.
So did you pick the Raiders as a wild card team? I'm sorry,
I said Raiders as a wild card team. Broncos win the division.
Oh, okay. And Haddix, you said just Raiders winning the division?
Raiders win the division, yep.
And that's it?
Yep.
Give me the Chiefs to win the division. I think that they have all the pieces now. I don't think Alex Smith's a great quarterback, but I think he's going to be fine for what they need. I don't think the Broncos make the playoffs. I do think not having a quarterback is going to affect them more than they like. That defense went on a hell of a run towards the end of last year. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think they'll be very good, but they had to go on sort of a historic type run to win that Super Bowl. I don't think the Raiders are going to do anything. I mean, they'll be okay. I think they're going to finish third in the division, and the Chargers are going to fall apart before the season's over. They're going to move to LA, and the owner's going to be happy, but everybody else is not. So, again, my AFC wildcard team, maybe I take the Broncos, but I'm kind of holding off for the minute till I look through it all. But there's a good chance the Broncos could be the wildcard team for me, but give me the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs can boringly get in. And I think it's because of Alex Smith. I mean, when you're in a system for so long, I mean, I'm not saying he's in there forever, but he's been with the same kind of offensive setup out there with Andy Reid, where he's comfortable there, and I think that I don't think he's responsible for the losses. Let's put it that way,
or the wins.
Andy Reid was definitely responsible for the loss in the playoffs, where they basically they were down by 2 scores, and they had the longest 2-minute drill of the entire history, and let the clock run down. His time management was atrocious. That said, I mean, it may not have made a difference, but it definitely did not help. But let's move on. We've got the NFC South, the defending NFC champion Carolina Panthers, the Saints,
and your boy Cam Newton,
the Bucks, the Falcons. Haddix, why don't you get us started talking about your boy Cam Newton and this division?
I think the Panthers win. I don't want to use the term easily because I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year, almost going undefeated. I think they'll win the division. I'll just say win the division. I don't want to go out there and say anything crazy. I do think the Saints will do really well. They're just, unless their defense steps it up, though, it's going to be tough to put all those wins on Drew Brees' back. Your boy, Brew Brees. Other than that, I think the Bucks are going to not do very well, and I think the Falcons are not going to do very well.
I think that this is going to be goddamn. I just thought of 3 things and then I changed my mind. I'll say this. I don't think the Bucks are irrelevant. I think they actually have a legitimate chance to make a wild card. I think it is the Panthers division. They'll take care of it. They're going to get Kelvin Benjamin back. Cam Newton has become a superstar.
So you think the Bucks do better than the Saints?
Oh, easily. I think the Saints, their defense is absolutely atrocious. They don't have the same flair they don't have the same magic at home anymore. That used to be an automatic win playing at home. That's not last 2 or 3 years. That has not been the case. So now you're talking about an aging quarterback who's still pretty good. His weapons are above average, but that defense is not going to be able to hold back anybody. And the Falcons are the same thing. Falcons have on paper probably a decent enough offense, but they have nobody who can get to the passer, which is really, really important to do in the NFL now as far as defense is concerned.
Hey, they do. They just signed Paul Kruger.
Okay. Good for them. That guy couldn't get a job with the Browns. I'm not saying because he couldn't play, but still, I feel like that's good. That's an ego hit when you can't even make it from the roster of 75, the roster of 75 with the Browns. But yeah, I say give me the Panthers. I would say don't sleep on Jameis Winston and the Bucks maybe making a push for the other wild card spot.
You gonna have a wild card in every division?
No. I've only picked one.
I was like typing these out, now I'm like writing them on a piece of paper, so trying to get it all organized here. As far as me with this division, I do think the Panthers win the division. I don't think anybody else comes close. I think the Falcons, I think this is Kyle Shanahan's finally the year that people start to realize that he's not a great coordinator. He's going to make Matt Ryan look like shit this year, even worse than he looked last year. The Saints will be fun on offense, but they're going to be really bad on defense. And the Bucks are still growing. I would not be shocked if they finish second in the division, but I don't think that's going to be saying much.
Well, there were a lot of games last year that they either had the lead or were within a possession to take the win. And I think this year they're going to learn from those mistakes, and they're going to probably add. Those are the types of games I think they're going to be able to pull out this year. That's the only reason why I'm saying that it's going to be. They're definitely going to be more. I think that they're going to be better than a 500 team. I would say give them 9 to 10 wins actually.
9 to 10 wins. That's saying a lot. We'll see. So
the Bucks. To me, I would say the Bucks right now are my surprise team in the NFC.
And they're your wild card pick?
I didn't say they are. I'm just saying don't sleep on them making a push for the wild card. I haven't made up my mind about my second wild card yet.
Okay, that's fair. We'll move into the AFC South now. Colts, Texans, Jags, Titans. Andrew Luck's going to come back. Hopefully he's healthy. That'll make the Colts relevant again in the division. But Houston, coming off of a playoff run last year where Brian Hoyer played one of the statistically worst playoff games in the history of quarterback play. In the offseason, they did offer a ton of money to Brock Osweiler, getting him away from Denver. And he's looked pretty good so far in the preseason. Jags, they're supposed to be better. We'll see if everybody takes the next step. That offense does stuff, but the defense needs to turn it on. The Titans are forgettable at this point still. They're going to run the ball a lot. They hired Mike Mularkey as their head coach. I don't know why. I think they're still terrible.
His last name's awesome.
Yeah. Give me the Texans winning this division. I do think the Colts are going to be the wild card team, or one of the wild card teams, and I think the Jags kind of flounder around 500, and the Titans flounder around 3 wins, maybe 4.
I have the same thing. Texans winning the division, Colts winning the wild card. I do think the Jaguars are going to have a good year this year, especially compared to what they've done in the past, but I think it's the Texans division for sure.
I think all the teams here, I think this is going to be one of the weakest overall divisions. I think whoever wins it is going to have 9 wins tops. Give me the Colts and Andrew Luck having a chip on his shoulder that he needs to perform after the big contract signing.
Like a ruffle, or maybe a kettle,
like a Dorito 3D.
Oh, okay, that's a pretty good chip.
That is a good chip. I think the Titans do well, but that's not going to turn into wins. So I agree with 4 probably with them. The Texans, their defense is awesome. I just don't, I don't know what their offense is going to be like. That's going to be
Lamar Miller and Brock Osweiler.
I think it's going to be too questionable. I think the Colts have a much more comfortable setup. And I think the Jags will be the team that will be fighting closer to the Colts, but I think the Colts edge out the Jags. And I don't think anybody gets the wild card here.
Okay. You do. Oh, yeah, you did. So
I said Colts.
You did say the Colts are going to win the. No, I thought you said Texans are winning the division.
Colts. He said Colts.
Did you say Colts?
I said the Colts.
Yeah, I said Texans.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Okay, let's go to the NFC North. Packers, Bears, Vikings, Lions. Last year Packers and Vikings were playoff teams. It looked to be about the same. Teddy Bridgewater looked like he was going to take a step in the next direction. Instead, he took a wrong step in practice, full tear of the ACL, dislocated knee, a lot of stuff. Viking season's pretty much over. It sucks for them. I think they'll still be competitive. I think Mike Zimmer's a great coach. I think they're going to have a great defense. You got Adrian Peterson running the ball, so they could flirt with a wild card position. Ultimately, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I think the Packers just got gift-wrapped the NFC North, though.
Yeah. I think the Packers win this. I think the Packers could have, I dare say, an average year and still win this division.
I think the Packers are going to be a way better team this year than they were last year, and it also doesn't help, or it also doesn't hurt them that their division, especially now with Minnesota taking a decent, shot to the knee, literally. The Bears are a hot mess. The Lions are irrelevant at this point. I think the Lions are capable of scoring points, but not less than what they were able to last year, and they couldn't stop anybody. So yeah, I see actually that I think the Packers will probably have one of the best records in the league this year.
There you go. I won't disagree with that. I think,
and also Eddie Lacy.
That's just going to bring him up.
Batter.
That's going to be a big key. He was working out with Tony Horton in the offseason. I'm a believer in P90X, so I'm hoping that my boy Tony was able to get Lacy back in shape. If they have a run game and Jordy Nelson stays healthy and returns to form, coming off that injury, I think that's going to be key because Aaron Rodgers looked lost out there when nobody else could seem to catch a ball that was thrown their way. So I think Jordy is really kind of sets that whole offense in motion. So with him back, I think it's going to be big for them. That said, we didn't talk about the Bears at all. I don't think they need to be talked about. I don't think they're going anywhere. And
not only are they a bad team, but the chemistry's gone. It's just I don't think anybody is really excited to even see how the Bears are going to do this year. I think it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I could barely care about them, right? Right, guys?
Oh, man.
And moving on to the AFC North.
You get nothing from me.
Hugh get nothing from me, but Hugh Jackson is the Browns' head coach. So that's something new for our beloved Browns. Of course, we got the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals. I think the big story here is the Bengals lost Hugh Jackson, Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu. That offense is going to be a lot different. The defense should be about the same. I do think that they're going to get the wild card spot. I think the Steelers are going to win this division, though. Ravens, I think it's going to be a tough go for them this year. I think they'll be in games because they're well coached, but I don't think they have anybody on offense. And defensively, I think they'll just be okay. Browns, we'll talk more about the Browns here in a second, but that's my picks.
Yep, agree with the Ravens. I think they'll be good. That's it. Steelers win the division, even with Le'Veon Bell being out for 3 games, because this team is capable of throwing up like 30-something points every game. And the Bengals will stay true to form and make it to the playoffs and lose the first game. Or they're my wild card pick.
I have the Steelers taking this pretty easily. I think they're also going to have one of the best records in the AFC. I think the main reason why, too, is the Bengals, who I think are still capable of doing well. They have a pretty nasty schedule. Or I mean, it's a little less now that Tony Romo's injured, but I believe they have a road. They have to go on the road for the first 6 games, and they got to take on the Jets, the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Broncos, and the Patriots in that span. So that's going to be a tough, 6 games for them to have to try and come out with a decent record out of that.
Yeah, that is a pretty tough schedule.
They can find themselves in a hole real quickly. The Ravens I think they're fine, but I think they're still, I'm not saying like tank or anything, but I feel like they're still like one more off season away from doing to being back in form again. I think they may push for a wild card, but I think it's definitely the Steelers taking the division.
Okay, you have not picked a wild card yet for the AFC, Kyle, that you're confirmed on. Is it going to be the Bengals?
AFC, I haven't picked anybody.
You have just the Raiders as your wild card. You need another wild card team.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I think it does come out of the AFC North. I would actually put down the Ravens.
Okay. You also, your second wild card team in the NFC. Right now we have Bucks with a question mark. Do you have anybody else that you're going to choose that over? You're going to leave Bucks as your wild card team?
I mean, to me, I think it comes down to either maybe the Vikings or the Bucks, and with what happened there, I'll say the Bucks take it.
Okay, that gives all yours. Me, as far as the only one, I'm actually going to put the Vikings as my second wild card team. I debated doing the Giants there, but I think because this happened when it did, I think this team's going to rally behind it. And I do think that they can get a wild card spot. I don't think they're going to do anything with it, but I do think they've got a shot there. Before we move into our predictions, our final predictions, real quick, we'll talk about the Browns for about 2 minutes. Big thing, obviously Hugh Jackson, head coach, well-respected, well-liked around the NFL. Instead of drafting for that first overall, second pick quarterback, we signed RG3. So far in the preseason, he looks all right. We'll see what Hugh can do with him. Of course, Josh Gordon is coming back after a 4-game suspension here. That'll be interesting. I think this offense is going to be fun, but I think this defense is going to be atrocious. I think we'd be like the Saints, but like a much lighter version of the Saints in that we know that they can put up points every week. I don't know if the Browns are going to be able to do that on a week-to-week basis consistently.
Especially considered new quarterback, new coach.
Right. And I will say the Browns have made some trades. They've traded their punter just the other day. They've cut some big names like Paul Kruger, K'Wan Williams. I don't know if they're done or not with some of these big names. I think ultimately Hugh is letting people know that he's the boss. And, you're not going to get away with things that were done before. Barkevius Mingo was traded to the Patriots, and one thing he said was he can tell that there's he went to the Patriots and said this is you can already feel the winning culture here, but he did, instead of throwing shade at the Browns, he actually said that he saw changes in the way it looked. So, take that for what it is. Maybe it's just player speak. I don't think the Browns are going to do anything this year. If they get 4 wins, I'd be excited. I do think they're going to be fun to watch, but I also think that there's going to be some weeks that you're going to watch a team put up 40 on them, and it's going to be embarrassing. But we'll see.
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about them because being a homer, it'll probably be biased. But anything above 4 wins will be a success, as sad as that is to say.
Well, this is coming from also from the media. I think that I think they have the Browns winning maybe 2 games at best. So we're the homers saying we have faith they may win 4. The only thing I'll say too that's interesting is it looks like from what I've seen, and the fact that Justin Gilbert isn't active for that final game tonight, if he gets cut, which looks possible, there will be nobody from the first round of drafting since 2012 that is still on the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough go, but let's hope that these drafts going forward are a lot better. I mean, that's all we can do. But that's enough about the Browns. We've got a few minutes here. Let's get into our playoff predictions. Real quick, Haddix, I'm going to read your playoff contenders. Why don't you pick your NFC Championship, AFC Championship, and then your Super Bowl prediction, and then we'll go along before you pick your winner. You've got Giants, Cardinals, Panthers, Packers all winning their division. Redskins and Seahawks in the wild card. In the AFC, you've got Patriots, Raiders, Texans, Steelers, Colts, and Bengals as your wild card picks, correct?
Say the NFC again.
Giants, Cardinals, Panthers, Packers, Redskins, and Seahawks as wild cards.
Yep. Okay.
Who are your NFC title matchup and winners?
I think in the NFC it's going to be Cardinals, Seahawks, Packers, Panthers. NFC, I guess. Jesus Christ, I was going to say finals, but not finals.
Championship, dude.
NFC Championship. Jesus Christ, Cardinals, Panthers. I think the Cardinals win. Maybe that's me being a little biased because I like the Cardinals.
Okay, AFC.
AFC, I think it's going to be the division leaders, Patriots, Raiders, at least my choices. Patriots, Raiders, Texans, Steelers. I think it'll be Patriots versus Steelers with Patriots winning, so it will be Patriots versus Cardinals in the Super Bowl.
All right, hold that thought before you pick your winner. Hougie, move on to you. NFC, you have the Giants, Seahawks, Panthers, Packers, with the Cardinals and Buccaneers as your wildcard teams? Correct?
I will go... I'll definitely say it'll be the Packers... Oh, man. Give me Packers, Seahawks, Packers winning.
Okay, and the AFC, you have Patriots, Broncos, Colts, Steelers, with Ravens and Raiders as your wildcard teams.
Give me also Patriots, Steelers winning.
Okay, so you have a Steelers-Packers Super Bowl.
I do.
That's one that has a lot of championships between those two. So for the sake of parity, I hope you're wrong there. But sadly, I don't think you're going to be far off. I have Redskins, Seahawks, Packers, Panthers with the Vikings and Cardinals as wildcard teams. I think that you're going to see a Seahawks-Packers NFC Championship, excuse me, with the Packers going to the Super Bowl. In the AFC, you have Patriots. I have Patriots, Chiefs, Texans, Steelers, Colts, and Bengals as wild cards. I think it's a Patriots, Steelers AFC Championship as well, but give me the Patriots, so I have a Patriots-Packers Super Bowl. Haddix, turning it over to you. You said Cardinals, Patriots. Who is your Super Bowl winner?
I'm going to go with my boy, Thomas Brady, the Patriots.
Hougie, you had a Steelers-Packers Super Bowl. Who is your winner?
Steelers. Give me the Steelers.
God, I hope you're wrong. This is like you picking the Warriors all over again, dude. I was surprised you didn't pick
I know.
I'm surprised you didn't pick a Niners-Raiders Super Bowl, you know? Of course,
that would be bizarre world if that happened.
Yeah, no kidding. I have Patriots-Packers. I, too, will pick the Patriots. I think Tom is out for blood again this year.
Oh, for sure.
As one more middle finger to Roger Goodell so that he could put a fifth ring on that middle finger and ride off into the sunset. Not that I'm predicting him to retire this year or anything like that, but it would be a good ending for him. Anyways, so those are our predictions. That's our show. Feel free to go to pseudonerdpod.com, add us on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe on iTunes, leave us that 5-star rating and the reviews. Let us know your playoff contenders, big stories. If you get a surprise team like Hoagie's Buccaneers, if there are other thoughts, for me, I guess Hoagie's bold prediction is Buccaneers. For me, my bold prediction is the Vikings still make the playoffs. Haddix, do you have one bold prediction before we wrap it up?
Oh shit! You put me
I
on
thought
the
you
spot,
had one.
dude.
I could have sworn that was the first thing. One of the first things he said. I said, "Oh, that's bold."
I picked the Redskins and Giants both to make the playoffs. 2 teams from the NFC
Yeah,
East.
okay, two
Yeah,
teams from the NFC.
That's a bold one. Yeah.
Okay,
That's fair. Yeah, we'll let that go. Next week we're going to begin our month-long podcast. As for what the topic is, we don't know yet because that's how prepared we are for you PMPers out there.
Right off the cup.
From the home of Cardale Jones to the home of Jared Goff, 2 rookie quarterbacks, right? I am Josh Kiser. He is Josh Haddix. He is Kyle Hoagland, and we will see you guys next time.
Have a good Friday.
See ya.